Last night, President Trump announced that he is designating Antifa as a major terrorist organization and recommending that those who fund it be, quote, thoroughly investigated. Nicole Sganga joins me now. Nicole, it's great to see you. So we use this word, and we can't assume that all of our viewers know what it is. So first, what is Antifa?
Well, the term Antifa is shorthand for anti-fascist. Now, the anti-fascist movement has roots back in Nazi Germany, pre-World War II Italy. It was popular in the 1980s. But the first time we actually see the term, the moniker Antifa, used for a U.S.-based group was in 2007 out of Portland, Oregon. And that group also gained popularity, if you'll recall, Ouija, after the Charlottesville rioting that occurred in 2017. There was a sort of resurgence back then. But unlike some other quote-unquote terrorist groups, there's really no membership list. And speaking with experts today about the movement, they likened it to feminism to me, meaning that it's an ideology, it's something that people subscribe to in their beliefs, but it doesn't necessarily have an organizational structure, a hierarchy, or even a central bank for that matter.
So when President Trump says he's going to designate Antifa as a, quote, major terrorist organization, what does that mean in practice if you don't even know who would be considered under that umbrella?
It doesn't really mean anything right now. We do know that, historically the U.S. has designated foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs. That's a designation made by the Secretary of State for organizations like Al-Qaeda, like ISIS. But there are a lot of First Amendment questions when it comes to a domestic terrorism designation. How do you determine if someone is even a member of the Antifa group or otherwise? Now, like foreign terrorism, there is a definition for domestic terrorism. It's an ideologically driven criminal act aimed at influencing the government or coercing a population. But there's no law that dictates charging the criminal act of domestic terrorism. There are some sentencing enhancements. So if you are charged with a crime and later it's found to be domestic terrorism, you can be put behind bars for up to an additional 8 years. But outside of that, we don't have a lot of historical context for what the president is trying to do, though we should note he did try to do this back in 2020.
And what happened then?
Back in 2020, he announced on then Twitter, and this was during the sort of Black Lives Matter movement following the police killing of George Floyd, that he was going to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. And then Attorney General Bill Barr came out and said that, criminal organizers and instigators would be investigated by the FBI's JTTF. And after that summer, we did see about 300 people charged as part of that sort of backlash by the Department of Justice to look into crimes linked to these protests. But there was no evidence that any of these crimes were based with the Antifa organization or group. And later that summer, FBI Director Chris Wray was actually asked about this. And he said, it's not a group or an organization, it's a movement or ideology. So we can't target it in the same way we would other terrorist organizations.
I see. Well, we will watch and you will report back on what happens this time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole Sganga.